and it's going to be a committee of one today. So if I could...
Your mic.
There you go. So if I could ask our... well, why don't we do this? We'll note in file number 4. We're going to continue item number 3 to June 7th. Is that right?
Yes, Council.
It's a long time from now. No cards on 3, so we'll note in file number 4, continue item number 3 to June 7th. Anybody here in item number 3 is going to be continued June 7th. So if item number 1.
Yes, Councilman. Item 1 is a CLA report. It's a response to a motion by Councilwoman Hahn and Perry. It's asking for an analysis of the feasibility of annexing the city of Vernon into the city of LA. And Mr. Wilkin in the CLA's office is present.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Councilman. The item before you is a motion from Councilmember Hahn, Councilmember Perry, asking for a feasibility analysis of the incorporation or the annexation of the city of Vernon into the city of Los Angeles. We looked at a number of issues and spoke to a few people, and there would be 2 ways to go about this. The first is if there was an agreement between the cities of Vernon and Los Angeles to move forward in that direction. And the second would be some kind of state legislation to effectuate the disincorporation of the city of Vernon, and then to have some process, such as the LAFCO process, that would transfer that area over to the city of Los Angeles or some other incorporated city that would be interested in doing that. In our report, we recommend that the City Council approve a recommendation to have a conversation with the representatives of the City of Vernon to see what their interest is on the amicable approach. And then we also have attached a resolution to support AB 46, which is Speaker John Perez's bill to effectuate the disincorporation of any city with 150 or fewer people within 90 days of the activation of the bill and of the law. And that is the summary of what you have in front of you.
Well, thank you for your presentation. I think your first recommendation is a non-starter. I mean, we're going to send our mayor and our council members to go out there and talk with the city of Vernon whether they want to be incorporated. I think the answer is going to be no, so, right, but it's worth putting in there.
You never know what's going to happen with a friendly conversation, but there is the likelihood that would not get very far.
Okay, well, it's nice to put it in there too, so it's... Okay, I'm going to go through public speakers. The first public speaker is Ed Rendon. Ed Rendon is item number 1. Is he here? Just stepped out. I'll hold the card. George Milston, Vernon.
Good morning, Honorable Council Member George Milston, Latham and Watkins, representing the City of Vernon. With me today is Mark Whitworth, who's the City Administrative Officer, and I'm going to ask him to speak in just a minute. As you may know, the City of Vernon is a charter city. It was founded in 1905, and since its inception, it has been dedicated to providing a top-flight environment for businesses and jobs. Today, the city is located in 5.5 square miles and generates over 50,000 jobs, many of those union jobs, as well as 1,800 businesses. These businesses generate another 50,000 jobs in the overall Southern California region. The city is critical to the economic engine for the region. Many of its employees live in the city of Los Angeles, Huntington Park, Maywood. These workers are critical to the economy, and as you will hear today, they are very concerned about this proposal and its impact on the city. The city has its own fire department, which provides mutual aid to adjoining areas. It has its own police department, health department, and provides a full range of services to the businesses, residents, and workers of the city. And it has its own light and power department, which provides light and power at significantly lower rates than DWP and SCE. Its annual budget is over $300 million a year. The city provides over $300 million in revenues to the state and the region. The business has provided over $4 billion in payroll to the region. It is critical that this city continue as a city, as its charter city. It does not desire to be annexed to the city of Los Angeles. It desires to be a city as it has been since 1905. Annexation of the city of Vernon would likely result in the loss of thousands of jobs and hundreds of businesses, which would have an adverse impact on the economy and to the region. We respectfully request this matter be received and filed. I'd like to introduce Mark Whitworth, who is the City Administrative Officer, if he could speak for a minute and give you the position and views of the City of Vernon. He is filling out one.
Thank you.
I'm taking these in the, we need the Energizer bunny here. I'm taking this in the order of they were received. So Marissa Olguin.
Good afternoon, Council, honorable council members. My name is Marisa Olguin. I'm president of the Vernon Chamber of Commerce, and our chamber is it represents a working population of 50,000 employees, of which approximately 15 to 20,000 working people actually live and vote in the city of Los Angeles. We appreciate the concern over the city of Vernon and the council's steps to prepare the feasibility study on the interest to annex Vernon into the city of LA. We also appreciate the statement that discussion should involve Vernon businesses and residents, those constituencies of ours. To that end, there has not been sufficient time for the Vernon community, comprised of its residents and its businesses. There hasn't been time to engage with you over the feasibility study. They are the tax-paying constituencies who would be personally impacted and have a lot at stake. We find the report incomplete with certain omissions and inaccuracies that need to be addressed. And we would like the opportunity to provide the facts to the committee before it goes to a vote. Our position, we oppose AB 46. We're also opposed to involuntary annexation from the city based on the fact that AB 46, based on AB 46, should it pass. An annexation or a disincorporation will have devastating impact to thousands of jobs. We see them one and the same. They will impact jobs and people, most of who live within the city of LA boundaries. For this reason, we respectfully ask the committee that it would stay any decision and discuss with the Vernon businesses and residents before it votes on the issue. And I know we have a lot of people here that are not able to have the time. We want to respect your time, but we have members of the business community, unions, employees, and operator owners who are here. I'd like to have them stand and be represented today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Steve Freed.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Freed. I'm a resident voter in the city of Los Angeles. I also own and operate industrial investment properties in the city of LA. In addition to my Los Angeles-based properties, I own and operate a 31-unit industrial center in the city of Vernon. I speak on behalf of the City of Vernon residents, the roughly 2,000 business and property owners in the city, and the 50,000 people employed by the City of Vernon business community. All of us want you to know that we want the City of Vernon to remain independent. We do not support AB 46, and we are committed in our opposition to the annexation of the City of Vernon to any other city. Most of the Vernon community is unaware that this hearing is taking place today. I only found out about this hearing yesterday afternoon. We ask that this committee postpone any vote on this proposal until we have had time to review this feasibility analysis report and prepare a rebuttal paper challenging some of this report's findings. We operate our country on democratic principles, and the people that live, work, and operate businesses in the city of Vernon are asking you to respect our democratic right to keep our city independent. Thank you.
Thank you. John Norton.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, council members. I'm John Norton, president of All American Manufacturing. I've had a business in Vernon for over 60 years. The issue that started this was the lack of a sense of real voter representation and adequate voter structuring in the city of Vernon. It seems a little bit of a injustice to think that an outside entity, either the state or the city or the county, can better decide what the rights are for the constituents of Vernon, the business operators, and the voters of Vernon. All this pressure is coming from outside. No one from inside the city has said, we don't like the city, we don't like the way it runs. It has a great fire department. Can you offer us a better one? Nobody can. It's top rated. Police department, same thing. Health department, same thing. So this disconnect of trying to do something good for the people of Vernon that nobody in Vernon wants, that doesn't do us any good. I agree we have some small voter population. Maybe we can do something on that. But as far as a city that functions well as a city, Vernon does a terrific job. As a business owner, I wish you would reconsider what you're thinking about here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Robert Marcial.
Mr. Chairman, I represent Randall Poultry in Vernon. Been in business there for 30-some years. It's a great little city. There's nothing wrong with the city of Vernon. There's fine employers, fine labor people in the room against what Hahn and Perry want to do. If there's something wrong with the city of Vernon, maybe you folks need to fix that. Not follow the plan of Hahn and Perry and some other folks, because it's detrimental to a lot of working people. The company that I represent operates on a very, very thin margin, very thin. We provide jobs for 300 to 400 people who basically are not highly skilled people, not people that could come and work here or work for one of you folks. It's the type of work that these employers, along with Randall, Farmer John, all the other companies, provide those low-skilled jobs for a lot of people. If we follow the plan, there's going to be a lot of folks out of work. Because I can assure you that the employer I represent will be gone. The profit margin is that thin. So please, when you folks think about this, maybe Hahn and Perry, and I know they each have a large staff of folks, they need to go to Vernon. They need to talk to these hard-working employers and these labor people who are in the streets every day of Vernon and find out what would happen if they follow through with this plan.
Okay, if you can wrap it up.
It's not, one second and I'm done, Mr. Chairman. It's not a very well thought out plan.
Okay, thank you.
I yield.
Stan Stossel.
Good afternoon, Council Member. My name is Stan Stossel. I'm an Assistant Business Manager with IBW Local 47. The staff report started off some kind of state legislation. That was in the remarks. Let that resonate. Think about that for a second. What kind of a foundation is that to build on for what you are contemplating doing? IBW 47 strongly opposes the disincorporation of the city of Vernon, and therefore we believe that this proposal is both premature and ill-advised. It seems like only yesterday that the sections of the city of Los Angeles and the San Fernando Valley were thinking about breaking away from the city. The mayor and council at that time opposed it. We opposed it. Today, the city has a neighboring city that is under attack, and instead of remaining true to the principles espoused all those years ago, the city of Los Angeles appears to be expediting the process. Whatever issues Vernon may have, dissolving a 100-year-old city is not the answer. Vernon was established as an industrial and manufacturing town. It has remained true to these roots since that time. IBW represents 50 workers who run the utility department for the city. In fact, a few of them are here today. I'd like to ask our folks to go ahead and stand up, if you would, please. They are they work for a private contractor. They are not city employees. There are 50,000 jobs in Vernon. The workers come from all of the surrounding communities, including Los Angeles. We're here to protect those jobs. Vernon's balance sheet is the envy of the cities throughout the area. They are not laying off workers. They are not looking for bailouts. Local 47 is doing all that it can to stop this effort. We know that even if our political efforts fail, this matter will end up in the courts. Certainly valid arguments can be made as to the constitutionality of this effort. Los Angeles currently is strapped for cash. Do you really want to drag the city into a costly and protracted legal battle? Don't you have better uses for the city's limited resources? You should know that the utility rates for the city of Vernon are substantially lower than those in Los Angeles. I have met with many business owners, many of them are here today, and they say that they are operating on the narrow margins.
Thank you.
Los Angeles should stand down from this effort and oppose AB 46, support its sister city, support the workers, and support the jobs over there. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin Brimmer. Well, you're from Councilwoman Hahn's office. Do you want to go at the end of the speakers? You want to go now? Yep. Ed Rendon, what is it?
Whatever you like, Mr. Chair. I also stand and join my brother electrical workers here. I'm Teamsters political director, and we join with our employers to say this is a really difficult situation that this potentially puts our employers in, the storage, cold storage facilities. I think what's going on is a lot of lack of understanding of some of these industries and the density of it and the impact on workers like these guys right here and others, my Teamster members. So we asked the council to also oppose this and whatever proceedings go forward, and we will be in contact with the movers of the legislation also. Thank you for your time. Take care.
Thank you very much. Mark Whitworth.
Your Honor, Mark Whitworth, City Administrator, City of Vernon. Just want to clear for the record that the city does oppose AB 46, opposes any annexation attempts of the city. Also want to make sure that you understand that the reports that I've seen that have come out of the LA City offices are grossly inadequate. They don't tell the story. The City of LA would be absorbing about $1 billion of debt. Are you ready for that? The other item I'd like you to make sure you know is that I've met with many of these business owners, and everyone to a T has said, we won't only leave Vernon, we'll leave the state, or we'll close our doors. You're talking 50,000 jobs. Are you ready to face that? Big questions. If you wish to consult with us, our doors are open. Talk with us. You have any issues with the City of Vernon, my door's always open. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Justin Brimmer, last and final speaker.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm here on behalf of Councilwoman Janice Hahn. She supports this matter to move forward and would like to make it a clarifying amendment to the resolution. The amendment is in reference to the term dissolution and to be replaced by the word or the term disincorporation. We will also ask the CLA to make the proper adjustments as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So to get... Oh, okay, I missed somebody. Alma Arredondo.
Good afternoon, honorable council members. My name is Alma Arredondo. My husband and I are co-owners of United Steel Fence Company in Vernon, and I'm also a former chairman of the Vernon Chamber of Commerce. My husband and I are native Angelenos who have owned and operated a small business since 1973, 26 of those years having been in the city of Vernon. We moved from the city of Commerce to Vernon because Vernon is exceptionally responsive to our business operations. Vernon is a 100-year-old charter municipality with city services designed to serve its community with top-ranked police and fire department, environmental health department, and low-cost utilities, to name a few, and whose legitimacy as a municipality must be recognized. The City of Vernon has implemented needed reforms to better serve its community. The Chamber is an independent and accountable force that continues to ensure the city is making the necessary changes for a healthier form of government. The Chamber receives no funding from the city. An annexation or disincorporation to the Vernon business community are equivalent and will have the same economic result: a dramatic loss of jobs, increase in cost to conduct business, and a quick exodus of companies who will leave the state or the country. As a Vernon business owner and member of the Chamber of Commerce, I ask that you first not throw out the baby with the bath, and that the committee stay its vote in order for the committee to receive necessary information and discuss the economic impact to our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And technically speaking on the process, there was a proposed amendment to the motion by Councilwoman Hahn's office. Whatever we forward out of this committee, it's the report, the CLA report, and also the motion, or is it just the
resolution, Councilman, is attached to the CLA report.
Okay. So
the CLA analyst can make that amendment when the issue goes before the council.
Okay, great. So we're going to, for that, can I have the CLA back at the microphone, please? So the actual motion asks for the feasibility of annexing the city of Vernon, but what you're recommending is that the council mayor initiate conversations with the elected officials of the city of Vernon to explore the possibility of annexing the city. So the motion said, let's annex. You're saying send over the mayor, send over council, and see if they want to annex.
Give them the opportunity for that conversation, because it is an intergovernmental relation issue, and the city charter outlines that the mayor and the council have this responsibility with regard to intergovernmental relations, and so this just creates the venue for that conversation to go out to another jurisdiction.
Okay, and your second recommendation is that the council adopt the attached resolution to include support for AB 46 Perez that would dissolve cities with fewer than 150 residents if amended to prioritize the annexation of such areas into incorporated general law or charter cities if an unincorporated island is formed as a result of the dissolution to ensure the efficient and continued provision of services. So,
yes.
Practical terms, what does that mean?
That means that simply disincorporating the entire area could be disruptive, and that there are charter and general law cities that abut the existing city of Vernon, and those cities may be able to provide services to that area if the disincorporation moves forward. And so this would just change. We're recommending that the bill be changed to allow for that process rather than it being disincorporated and having no process set up for it to then transition to another city.
Okay, thank you. Being that this is a committee of one, there will be no vote on this item. However, as the chair of the committee today, I do have the authority to forward it to full council with a recommendation. Is that correct?
Yes, it will be a communication from the chair.
Okay. And let me explain what I'm going to recommend to the full council. I represent Pearl Heights, a community adjacent to Vernon. In these last few years, we had an issue with Vernon's proposed power plant that was to be built. I marched with my local residents to protest the plant. We did not agree with the proposal at the time. I felt that we didn't have the type of communication we would like to see from the city of Vernon. My stakeholders were concerned, my residents were concerned, they were concerned about their health and safety. I would certainly like to see better communication between the city of Los Angeles and the city of Vernon. I am quite surprised that it would get to this point, but But I think the fact that one city is proposing to annex another shows that that relationship is not a good one. We should not have allowed it to get to this point. And who knows why this has happened? People have different reasons. If you ask the residents of Boyle Heights, they're going to say that the city of Vernon did not listen to their concerns about the proposed power plant. And so I think this is worthy of a discussion. I think the full council should have this discussion, so I'm going to recommend that we approve the report by the CLA. And again, I want to remind everybody, this is not a vote. When it gets to full council, at that time, somebody would have to motion to either deny or approve the CLA report. But at this time, given the concerns from my local residents and the need to have better communication with the city of Vernon, I would like to see that discussion take place, so I'm going to recommend that we adopt the CLA report and send it to full council as a communication from the chair. That would be the order.
As to the request by Council District 15 and the wording, Councilman, are you
I'll take that amendment, yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Next item.
Councilman, the next item is an appeal by Michael Kim. He's appealing part of the decision of the zoning administrator that imposed corrective conditions as to the use of a market liquor store known as Kim's Market located in CD 14.
Okay, is there someone here from the department to report on this item?
Yes, zoning administrator Lynn Wyatt.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Lynn Wyatt for the Office of Zoning Administration. I conducted a hearing on June 24th, 2010, and at that time, Mr. Kim and his son were present. We proceeded with the case in which we reviewed the modification of the operation of a market liquor store in order to mitigate adverse impacts caused by said operation and the sale of alcoholic beverages and any potential impacts caused by any future operation of the business. The findings were made that the business itself jeopardizes or adversely affects the public health, peace, or safety of the persons residing or working on the premises or in the surrounding area, constitutes a public nuisance, and has resulted in repeated nuisance activities, including but not limited to public drinking, drug sales, drug possession, and loitering. I imposed a number of corrective conditions in regards to this based on substantial evidence provided and established in the record. We received reports from both the city attorney, the LA Police Department, the LA Fire Department, and the State Department of Alcoholic Beverages. The record identifies that the Central Area Vice has responded to multiple alcohol-related problems adjacent to or the subject location. Central Area Vice officers have noted that despite continued monitoring of the location and repeated discussions with Mr. Kim, the operator, that no significant modifications have been implemented by Mr. Kim and that nuisance issues remain unabated, lacking any substantive or credible response by Mr. Kim. In addition, we received testimony from the council district representative and local stakeholders who concurred with this, noting that the operator has remained uncooperative, placing adjoining property owners, residents, and other stakeholders at risk, creating an environment where nuisance and illegal activities occur with great frequency, affecting the safety and well-being of children, adults, and the elderly. Mr. Michael Kim is now appealing that decision, and specifically conditions number 7, 8, 22, and 23 of the determination. Mr. Kim, at the time of the hearing, voluntarily agreed to cease the sale of single containers of alcoholic beverages, to provide a security patrol on the site, and not to sell in quantities of less than 750 milliliters. This is evidenced in the record, including by emails received from Mr. Scott Kim, the operator's son, dated July, August, and September of 2010, which notes that they now have a full-time security guard on site as of June 25th, 2010, and that they have continued to stop sales of the following alcohol, which we haven't sold since March 19th, 2010, which included a list of 16-ounce single beverages, both beer and wine coolers involved. The applicant is now asking that we rescind those conditions and not impose limitations on the hours of operation, as well as the type of alcohol sales that they had voluntarily been willing to previously forgive. This in regards to condition number 7. This condition memorializes the hours of operation of the market with opening at 8 a.m. and closing at 7:30 p.m. This condition establishes that operation of the store will occur at a time which will minimize interference with the safe movement and activity of residents, business operators, agencies, students, and other neighborhood stakeholders within the vicinity of Ken's Market. It was noted in written statements and testimony that school-aged children attending Para Los Niños and the Inner City Arts Center, clients of other public agencies in the area, as well as pedestrians and motorists, were being adversely affected by the clientele of Ken's Market due to loitering, aggressive panhandling, public drunkenness, other nuisance behavior, and fights, and otherwise creating nuisance issues within the public right-of-way. The LAPD noted specifically in testimony, as well as in numerous reports, that the officers patrolling the area in the morning hours as well as evenings frequently observed and cautioned the operator of Ken's Market regarding nuisance behavior, but that the operator had not proceeded in providing an effective response or any resolution of these issues in other meetings that they had had with the operator. Condition number 8 requires the presence of an on-site security guard. Again, as much as the operator inferred that they were going to maintain the security guard on the site, we've had no recognition nor actually any evidence that the security guard is present at this point in time. We feel that that condition is still warranted. Conditions number 22 and 23 preclude any sale of single units of alcoholic beverages on the site, which can create significant patron activity, loitering, and contribute to vagrancy and nuisance behavior at the location. Again, the applicant at that time of the hearing, as well as in further documentation, submitted that they volunteered to forego sales of single can alcohol on the site. They've been previously reprimanded by the State Department of Alcoholic Beverages and Control in regards to activities on the site and nuisance behavior, and we're told that ultimately if the problems continued without abatement is that they would possibly lose the opportunity to continue single sales. The applicant, again, repeatedly has stated their willingness to volunteer, but now at this point in time has appeared to change his mind. These conditions, in addition to the others imposed by the zoning administrator, are express requirements in order to maintain the operation of the market while continuing to allow the applicant the ability and the privilege of selling alcohol on the site. In addition to all other conditions submitted by the Los Angeles Police Department that were incorporated, we have included other corrective conditions which we feel are appropriate. The ones that are immediately before you as part of the applicant's appeal we feel are still warranted, regardless of whether or not they are volunteered by the applicant. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for your work. Estela Lopez. All right, we're going to play bingo, or you have there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Estela Lopez, the Executive Director of the Central City East Association. CCEA has served as the principal voice and advocate of Eastern Downtown Los Angeles for the past 25 years. We also administer 2 business improvement districts representing 97 blocks, 1,300 businesses, and 12,000 employees. Ken's Market is located within our industrial district bid boundaries, just 5 blocks from our office and less than 300 feet from our property check-in center, where we serve 500 homeless persons a day. We unquestionably know this location, its history as a site of alcohol-related criminal behavior, and its detrimental impact on the surrounding community. Let me show you just how well we know Ken's Market. Our bid public safety patrols maintain detailed records of all incidents that we handle. I have here before me, and to show you, two graphics, two maps of incidents that have occurred within 250 feet of Ken's Market. Not the general area, but 250 feet, and incidents directly connected to Ken's Market by information that our guards voluntarily obtained either by the victim or by the perpetrator. Map number 1 on this side was prepared for the ZA hearing in June, and it shows the public safety incidents to which we responded in 2010 up until the day before the ZA hearing, 371. Map number 2 on this side shows the incidents we responded to since the ZA hearing through last Tuesday, a week from today. On this latest map, these icons, Councilman, represent the following incidents: 141 incidents of blocking the sidewalk, 134 loitering, 71 drinking in public, 9 trespassing, 4 aggressive panhandling, 3 narcotics activities, 3 assaults, 2 fights, 2 prostitutions, and 1 disturbing the peace, a total of 370. As an operator asking for your support today, one would expect Ken's Market to put forth some effort to address these terrible conditions. But as you can see, they continue their practice of complete disregard and disrespect for their community, and with particular impact on the children of Skid Row, as you will hear in separate testimony today. We therefore urge your committee to reject this appeal and uphold the determination of the Office of Zoning Administration.
Great.
Thank
you
you
very much. Next, we're going to hear from the LAPD and then the City Attorney's Office, and then the applicant, which is, we have Barrett, Michael Kim, Scott Kim, and then we'll hear from a number of stakeholders who are here today. So if I could first, Captain Chamberlain, how are you? How would you like me to do this, sir? We have yourself, Sergeant Tom Melendez, and also Officer O'Brien. You want to go first?
I'll go first, Councilman Weezer, and kind of give you a 30,000-foot view, and then they can kind of get down in the weeds and give you some specifics. Obviously, you're here for Ken's Market, 1123 East 7th Street, based upon the terms and the conditions of it. And, from the statements that were made from the ZA report on the mandatory issues that were requested or we're hoping to get enacted, from the law enforcement perspective, specifically with the central areas being the commanding officer, we truly support those mandatory things and hope that they do take impact. When you look at it from a kind of a global view, within the ZA report, there was a statement in there that was a period of time was reviewed from March 2007 to March 2010. And over that period of time, there was over 173 negative incidents that occurred in and around Ken's Market, and these ranged from robberies to prostitutions to assault with deadly weapons. So even in the best of conditions, you can see that area, and I know you know that area well, even in the best of best conditions, having a market that is not a good partner, having a liquor store that has bad business practices is very detrimental to the activity that's going on in and around there. We also looked at it a little bit more closer from February 2010 to 2011. There's been 25 citations and RFCs which are released from custodies that have been given to the owner and the operator of Ken's Market, and each of those also involve a meeting or a time to sit down and discuss what's going on, what needs to be improved, what could be better to make that an operation that falls within the lines of what the community expects and what law enforcement expects. And that's a number of times within a one-year period, 25 times to sit there and talk to somebody, and basically it goes absolutely nowhere. Also within that same one-year period, with vice operations and with Safer Cities Initiative officers and with patrol officers, there was a total of 319 citations that were issued for 4127C and D. C is drinking in public, observed by a police officer, and then D is drinking next to a ABC established location, or consuming alcohol outside of an ABC established location. As the ZA report unfolded and we got the requests that were going to be implemented and were going to be taken care of, Vice backed away from that a little bit. Once we heard that they were countering what was proposed, we sent a Vice detail out to go and take a look at that, and Officer O'Brien will get into that a little bit more, but almost immediately, the first time they go back out there to do an investigation again, they end up making another arrest for 4127, drinking in front of the location. So nothing's really gotten better, nothing has improved. As much as even last week, the officers went out to the location to do an inspection to see how he has been adhering to basic ABC, CUP conditions, and something as simple as having the ABC license posted inside that business was not adhered to. And he said, I don't have it with me. He ended up getting cited at that time, and I don't know if he's got it today to produce it or not. But you can see in that area, the schools that are present that are trying to be established, the communities that are trying to be established in and around there, the number of SROs, single residence occupancy, that are in and around that area, it's extremely problematic. And then on top of that, when you look at it from the perspective of a lot of businesses have embraced conditions. They've gotten better. They've fixed their problems. And instead of embracing the conditions that have been put on them because of an outcry from the community and from law enforcement, it's continually pushing away from them and saying, no, we're not going to adhere to them over and over and over again. And it's to the point where they even went in and took a look at it. And, Ken's Market should be Ken's Market. They went and looked in the back in the stock room, and about 90% of his stock is all alcohol for single service and things like that. You're not seeing diapers, you're not seeing milk, you're not seeing a lot of the things that would go with the name of a market. What you're seeing is a liquor store that is poorly run, poorly managed, and the people who own that and the people who operate that have to repeatedly crest overs and over and over and over. They don't care, and it's quite obviously that they're just pushing away from it as fast as we try to get them better. We don't want to see them go out of business. We don't want to see it collapse. We don't want to see any business in Central. But what we do want to see is that through numerous educations over and over and over, they get better. We have not seen that from the law enforcement perspective. There's been a lot of time, a lot of effort that my officers has put into this location, which could have been spent at some of the other 450-some ABC licensed locations in Central. So as you can see, when we have to put a lot of time, a lot of effort into one problematic location, it causes issue not only for that part of the community, but for the entire Central area. So in summary, obviously we object the appeal that Ken's Market is putting out, and I think that through the hard work and the effort of the vice officers and the central officers, we've established the fact that there is a pattern of conduct here that is not improving and it's not getting better, and it's a detriment to that area, and it's a detriment to the growth and to the turn we hope to see in the future.
Great. Thank you very much, Captain. Thank you for being here. Of all these hearings that we have, for the captain to be here, it shows how serious of a matter this is. Sergeant Tom Melendez, and then we'll hear from Officer O'Brien.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. My name is Tom Melendez. I am the Sergeant Officer in charge of Central Area Vice. It's my responsibility as the Vice Supervisor to monitor all ABC establishments. We've been tasked particularly with Ken's Market in addressing those issues. My captain covered most of the concerns that we have, but I want to touch on one issue. I want to compare the voluntary conditions that we've asked them to comply with to another establishment just 3 streets north of his location. We saw the same issues, same concerns, the public drinking, the nuisances around that establishment. We met with them. We got voluntary compliance with the exact same conditions that we had recommended to the owners of Ken's Market, and in just that short period of time, there's been a huge difference in the community. We don't see it's still there, but not as blatant and not as often as we still do with Ken's Market. And it's frustrating as a supervisor in charge of this area to not have the resources that, because of the budget crisis and stuff, that we don't have the resources to totally dedicate our time on something that could be resolved with just the implementation of these conditions. So I ask that you consider this and not grant their appeal.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Officer O'Brien?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My name is Officer O'Brien. I'm an investigator for Central Area Vice. I am one of the main investigators that has dealt with Ken's Market and specifically with Mr. Kim. Just a slight background on myself. I've been in the Central Division for the past 10 years, so I've seen the evolution of Central Division and the changes that different businesses have made and the new businesses that have come in. But what I haven't seen is the efforts made by Mr. Kim. And when I say that is that when we make citations of people standing in front of his doorway drinking alcohol, and his only response to us is, oh, well, I'll see what I can do. And then we come back 2 days later and the exact same thing happens. That shows someone that is not willing to make any effort. And as an officer that has been in the division, not someone new, it's disheartening. And the efforts of my other co-workers and the other officers in the division, it's very disappointing. We've given Mr. Kim many opportunities to work with us. Part of it was the voluntary conditions that he advised that he would comply with, which he didn't. As far as our vice office is concerned, we strongly request that you do not allow this appeal. Just due to the, what's the word I want to use? Just due to the, I would say just the detriment of the community.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you. City Attorney's Office.
Councilmember, if I could go last, it would be great. I may not need to speak depending on the other speakers.
Okay. Sharon Church, well, no, I'm sorry.
Councilman, you may want to hear from the appellant.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. Barrett Fink.
I'm Barrett Fink. Hello, council members. Is there a reason that the city attorney is not going to speak first so I can address what he has to say? It would probably be more efficient.
Yeah, well, the city attorney could, at his request and the chairperson's discretion, I will allow him to speak at the end.
So I'm representing Ken's Market. I'm an attorney in West Los Angeles. I've heard the testimony here today. I've read the reports. And as you know, Ken's Market has not appealed all of the conditions that are sought to be imposed upon the market. They have appealed those items that will essentially put them out of business. I've heard from repeated people here today that Ken's Market has not cooperated with the authorities in trying to solve the problem that is created by the area where the store is as opposed to the market itself. You didn't hear any testimony, and there's none in Lynn Wyatt's report to the effect that there have been problems in the market itself. What you've heard is that on the public streets, in the public area, that there are problems, and they're trying to attack Ken's Market as being the source of these problems. Well, there are other liquor stores in the area, and unfortunately, in the condition in which we are here, where it is a forum where there is no cross-examination, Ken's Market is subject to just the statements that are made by the various people that are appearing here. If we were in a court where there was cross-examination, we would be able to get, am I limited in time when everybody else had all this time?
As the applicant, you could have more time, sir.
Thank you. If we were able to cross-examine and ask the police officers about each one of the incidents that they had reference to and how they know that the incident arose because someone bought an alcoholic beverage at Ken's Market, we would probably be in a much different situation. All Ken's Market is asking for to be relieved from the conditions is basically to not have the cost of a guard service, to be able to open at 7 o'clock in the morning, and to be able to sell alcoholic beverages in less than 750 milliliter containers. When Lynn Wyatt was speaking, she referred to us appealing the condition dealing with beer. We did not appeal that. We accepted that. The issue is Ken's Market is willing not to sell single shots, the little bottles of liquor, is willing to take a condition not to sell liquor in less than 325 milliliter containers. But essentially, if you have to sell the big bottle of liquor, it's going to put the business out of business. And they're trying to stay in business. They believe that they have cooperated with the authorities. They are making as good an effort as they can. Even in Lynn Wyatt's report, she recognizes that Ken's Market, even with a security guard, is not going to be able to manage what happens outside the store. A security guard can walk up to a person and ask them to move on, but there's not a whole lot more that could be done. So we've only asked for some latitude on 3 conditions: to be able to stay open an extra hour, to be able to not have a security guard, and to be able to sell alcoholic beverages in item number 22, and the conditions in as small a containers as 325 milliliters. Is there any questions?
Not now, thank you. I'm going to go through the cards, and if I have any questions afterwards, I'll ask those questions.
Okay. I don't believe, I will ask my clients if they wish to speak, and we'll move on.
Do they wish to speak? We have Michael Kim and Scott Kim. Okay, thank you. Sharon Church?
Good afternoon. My name is Sharon Church, and I'm with Inner City Arts. I am here today on behalf of the thousands of children who visit our campus each year in support of the permanent closure of Ken's Market. Inner City Arts is located at the corner of 7th and Kohler Streets, directly across the street from Ken's Market. We have been in this location since 1994. Over the past decade, we have witnessed firsthand the detrimental impact and neighborhood decline fostered by the business of Ken's Market. We also see in sharp contrast the K&S Market, located just 1 block away, where no loiterers and relative quiet is the norm. In 2008, Inner City Arts completed a $10 million addition to our campus. We chose to build near where the children we serve live, in hopes that Inner City Arts would be a beacon of hope and an agent of positive change in the community. While our campus provides a sanctuary for these children, the hundreds of students who are bused to our campus each day are exposed to crime, drunkenness, disorderly conduct, and a host of other lewd behaviors that take place at and adjacent to Ken's Market, including drug selling and use, alcohol consumption, and solicitation. Our staff has also been followed, harassed, and solicited by patrons of Ken's Market. We serve children ages 5 to 16. These are very important and impressionable years for children, and they should not be exposed to such lawlessness and disorder. One of our longtime partners, Para los Niños, walk their students to our campus from their school at 7th and Alameda. As they approach our campus, the children have expressed fear of the people that loiter in front of Ken's Market. Criminal activities have escalated over the years, and and are bad and dangerous now that we had to install a camera on the outside of our building to monitor the activity and try to protect our children and families. This camera provides a live feed to Central Division. Additionally, we work in conjunction with the Newton Division to ensure the safety of our children. On behalf of the students, teachers, and parents we serve, the closure of Ken's Market is essential to ensure the public safety of the community, and more specifically, our arts campus. Thank you.
Thank you. Socorro Chacon.
Good afternoon. My name is Socorro Chacon. I work for United Coalition East, located at 804 East 6th Street. Our mission is to reduce alcohol and other drugs-related problems in the Skid Row community. For the last 10 years, we have and continue monitoring these and other locations in our community. And our observation on Ken's Market and our coalition members' observations are public drinking inside the store, sales to minors inside the store, sales to intoxicated people inside the store, loitering, as well as appears to be drug sales inside the store. Till today, we continue observing the same issues over and over. Therefore, I'm here to ask you to deny the appeal. There is enough evidence and lack of compliance not only to deny the appeal, but for license revocation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Elena Stern.
Good afternoon. My name is Elena Stern. I work with Para Los Niños. For 30 years, Para Los Niños has been serving children and families in and around the Skid Row community. Our downtown services include early education, charter schools, and after-school programs where we provide high-quality education in safe and nurturing environments. We also provide these children and their families with important mental health and family support services. We believe that education does not only occur in the classroom. Our teachings often take place in the communities we serve. In downtown, for example, our children learn about architecture, music, science, agriculture, and government on field trips throughout the historic core, Civic Center, Music Center, Flower Mart, and Financial District. These places offer our children rich and unique opportunities to experience education firsthand. One place we no longer go is the fabulous and amazing Inner City Arts. Inner City Arts is an oasis of learning, achievement, and creativity that for many years has provided our children with an important bridge between the arts and academic curriculum that we provide at Para Los Niños. Our children no longer attend programs at Inner City Arts, in significant part because of the liquor store across the street. In passing that intersection at 7th and Kohler, our children and staff have frequently been exposed to lewd behavior, drunkenness, physical and verbal harassment. When our middle school after-school program was located on the Inner City Arts campus, parents coming to pick up their children were also accosted and threatened. The customers at Ken's Market are a menace and a danger to the young children in the immediate neighborhood. When a cancer exists, it is appropriate to remove the tumor for the well-being of the body at large. In school, egregious violations of the rules result in expulsion. We urge that Ken's Market be expelled from our community. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney's Office?
Thank you, Council Member.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
This is An Trong. I'm from the LA City Attorney's Office, and I just wanted to clarify that the prosecutor in the citywide nuisance abatement program. So we are not counsel for the city in this matter. We are essentially prosecutors. We did refer this matter to the ZA based on a review of the numerous incidents that LAPD has testified to, the 173 incidents just within the 3-year period between March 8th to 2007 through March 8th, 2010. That's in pages 10 through 14 of the acting ZA's report. We also provided copies of 21 specific arrests and incident reports that deal with direct on-site violations at Ken's Market. That's specified in pages 14 through 16 of the ZA's report. We also submitted calls for service that LEFD, the fire department, reported to the location. That's on page 19. So one of the questions is how many of the city's resources are going to essentially just monitoring this location? And at the end of the day, you look at the ZA's findings, essentially they're imposing conditions, and there's a 6-month review process set in condition 28. This is really, not the end of the world. Let the conditions be effective. Let's review at the 6 months to see whether we need to tweak or do anything else. But I hear the applicant make sort of statements that essentially they're in this area and it's a bad area and we're being targeted essentially. And it sort of reminds me of the speeding ticket analogy. Why did you pick me? Everyone's speeding. Well, we have limited resources. LAPD has limited resources. They're doing the best they can. And I think if the compliance had been there, we would not have reached this level. There are other operators, business operators, who say, okay, I understand the community concerns, I understand law enforcement concerns, let's see what I can do and be in this dialogue. And as the testimony seems to show today, the compliance is lacking. And so if we let the conditions be imposed, be effective, let's review after 6 months and see whether they comply. But as a prosecutor, when we file a nuisance abatement action, it's in civil court, you expect folks to be on their best behavior. And so it's not a lack of notice. They've been on notice. So the question is, do they have the ability and the motivation to comply? And it sounds like as of now, it's just the period from the June hearing until today, there's still not compliance. And so to me, again, just sort of as an interested observer, let's go forward, let the conditions be effective. We'll review in 6 months. Thank
Great,
you.
Thank you. If you could hold on, you're the last speaker. Well, let me ask the CA. Let me just say from the get-go that the evidence here is overwhelming as to why we would need to continue to impose these conditions as the CA has outlined. And yes, this is not a court hearing. There is no cross-examination unless the committee members decide to question any of the speakers. But in this instance, the evidence is overwhelming to deny the appeal. And affirm the ZA decision to impose corrective conditions. However, I do have one question. The applicant did state in its appeal that customers would go to another store a few doors away because that store is not subject to these onerous conditions. Is that accurate?
I think that, again, is the operator's own perception as to how business is being conducted in the area and whether or not he has competition. I don't think he's firmly established in the record whether people are shopping at other locations or choosing to go elsewhere because of whether he has something available or not. So okay. I don't know that that's an accurate assessment.
Yeah, for me, it doesn't speak directly to the merits of this case. It's just a larger issue for the area that we should all be aware of. If there are another stores nearby, like your freeway and your speeding analogy, I agree with that. We should be aware that with LAPD and Vice and everyone else, so that there are other stores in the area that do not have these these conditions and are also causing problems in the area. We should look at those as well, and I'm sure the LAPD is looking at that. So for me, the items, the conditions that are being appealed, I've gotten good responses from LAPD, city attorney, and our zoning administrator as to why we should deny those appeals. They make sense, and so that will be the order for today, is to deny the appeal and affirm the ZA decision to impose corrective conditions on Ken's Market. It will be a communication from the chair to the full council. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we could, I believe that concludes our meeting.
Public comment.
Public comment. I don't believe we have any cards. We will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all.